Welcome to the MoEngage podcast, The Leading Minds, which includes conversations that shape culture, strategy, and success. Hi, I'm Jyotsana Sharma. I am working as an Associate Director, Customer Success and Operations at MoEngage. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Sridhar, who is heading our Global Professional Services team. Sridhar has over 25 plus years of experience in the software industry. First 15 years, he's worked in engineering, and then he shifted his world to consultancy and to the customer success side of things. Welcome, Sridhar.
Thank you, Jyotsana. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Sridhar, people often think that sales is that big milestone. But what really happens after that?
There is a whole world of post-sales that we enter into soon after the sale is closed. And when I say post-sale world, it's a complete customer journey that starts once the sale is closed. And what I mean by this, we have sales, we have PS, and we have customer success. All are next door neighbors.
So you described sales, professional services, and customer success as that golden triangle. But how are they really interconnected at MoEngage? Could you maybe shed more light on that?
For sure. I say, first of all, let me double click into what onboarding actually does. All of the customers buy a platform or a license or a product for a reason. And the reason is they want to achieve their business outcomes. When you say business outcomes, they have an intended goal that they really want to achieve using the product. So typically onboarding is that phase of the post-sales world that actually delivers value realization to the customer. Coming back, zooming out a bit, want to talk about like sales, PS, and customer success. Sales does a meticulous job of documenting what are their expectations in terms of use cases. They even should have done some kind of POCs by then to prove the value that the product is a right fit for the business needs, right? And then after the sale is closed, all of this documentation is passed on to the professional services. We go through all of these artifacts and then do a kickoff call with the customer to ensure that we have heard all of the things right, and then to rephrase them as business use cases, which we will achieve using MoEngage as a platform. Right? And then once we know that we have achieved these goals, this is when we go into go live and then hypercare and then transitions into customer success. Long story short, I have a very funny way of putting it. The way I would say is what happens to sales today happens to PS tomorrow, and then what happens to PS today happens to CS tomorrow. And that's my very like a relay running race, right? That's my what you call a canny way of putting it.
So that was a really nice way to put that, right?
Thank you.
But tell me, where exactly the human element fit in all of this?
Sure. So the way I would look at it is complexity is the enemy of adoption. The reason I say this, all of us as humans, we want to see things in a very simple, straightforward, or kind of what we can perceive or feel. So when we come to onboarding or professional services, we now divide into three parts so that it's easy for us to understand, and it's kind of a divide and conquer. The first phase is where we kind of architect, as in like blueprint, and then discuss with the customer and get a sign off. That's the phase one. The second phase is where we design, set up, configure the platform for value realization. And the third part is, which is very critical, often missed, is the place where we actually train the end user so that adoption happens. So this is how we would like to break it into three parts so that it's more palatable and is also kind of not missing any aspect, and we do a thorough job.
So to move forward in this direction, Sridhar, it feels like that onboarding is way too important. But why is it that important and so critical?
Sure. So did you hear the phrase, well begun is half done? Okay, so that's where we come. The very first touch point is onboarding. So if we do onboarding well, we kind of have a successful path to retention, upsell, cross-sell, or the expansion process. So how we go about doing this is kind of we do a discovery call with the customer to understand what kind of landscape that they have in terms of the various tools and technologies, and then we try to fit MoEngage seamlessly into their ecosystem so that they see the value and they see a seamless integration. So this is where the onboarding fits in, and then it is also a seamless process.
That was a very good insight, and for our audience to understand why onboarding is so critical. But could you maybe shed more light on how do we measure this success, that our onboarding is now successful?
We have designed what we call as CHS.
Sure.
It is Customer Happiness Survey. So it actually measures the value delivered and the experience delivered to the customer. So at the end of onboarding, we do send a survey to the key stakeholders who kind of respond saying what was their experience and how did we deliver in terms of business outcomes. So this survey results actually happens to be a great feedback mechanism to us so that we learn how we are doing, and that actually helps us refine any of the processes that we have.
Sure. Can you also give me an example where your team went above and beyond?
I'll give you two instances or two use cases that we have solved, and also dwell a little bit into the team aspect of it, how the team is helping achieve those use cases. The first one is like an e-commerce use case where you kind of have users coming into your platform or onto an app not being registered. The key challenge is how do we engage those that are not registered or actually visitors on your platform to create a meaningful customer journey and get them to do something valuable on your platform.
Sure.
That's the first case. The second case is a fintech where we try to do gamification. As you know, fintech is all about audit, compliance processes, rigor processes, but we try to use gamification. Like for example, somebody has done a transaction, we wanted to say, hey, can you try spin a wheel or scratch card, something like that, to say you want to win cash back, right? So that way we are trying to introduce some kind of gamification, like engaging the customer back after every transaction.
Yeah, I think gamification is the biggest thing that is coming, and everyone is involved in it.
For sure. And then I really want to tie this up, and all of this is possible because some of these use cases are very, very intricate, and some of them are not very typical. And this is where I want to highlight that I have such a beautiful and wonderful team who come with these creative solutions, and then they're about to, this is their way of innovating by using MoEngage as a platform to deliver kind of, nice, uncanny solutions to the customer.
Wow, having a good team and creative is a bliss.
Yes, and I'm so glad to have such a wonderful team.
So coming back to the professional services function, it is not just implementation. It is also to enable real business outcomes, is it?
So the key value of onboarding is not just delivering outcomes or a great experience. That is our start or foundation. And then we build on the foundation because the next steps to come, as in customer success, helps in retention and upsell or cross-sell, which is our expansion revenue.
Sure.
So the foundation for any of this retention or expansion motions is actually laid in the onboarding phase. That is the reason onboarding becomes all the more critical. And if you look at the data, a successful onboarding almost always guarantees retention.
It was great knowing about the onboarding, the sales, the professional services, and the customer success aspect to whatever we are doing in the professional services team. But there is another interesting challenge that I see, which is managing a global team. So how are we doing that today? How are we maintaining the local standards as well as consistency? There is a lot of complexity around it. So how are we doing that today?
True, that's a great question. So managing global teams in MoEngage is kind of a fine balancing act between global standardization and regional autonomy.
Sure.
The reason why I say that is everything at a particular region or geography is actually managed by a regional leader, and he or she is able to take independent decisions with respect to the regional nuances.
Sure.
Bring it up to the global level, we have a process as a standardized playbook that actually ties all of the professional services regional units.
Sure.
So this is where we kind of put it like a hub and spoke method. Like the leadership model is hub and spoke method.
Sure.
So the hubs are regional hubs and they're all tied into a wheel by the global standard process. Now for me to give an example, let's take security as a thread.
Sure.
And then if somebody is based out of Europe, they're more concerned about GDPR.
Yeah.
Somebody is in Middle East, they are concerned about data residency.
Yeah.
They have laws around their private data not leaving their boundaries.
Yeah.
So although the global thread is about having secure customer data, the way it is implemented in Europe is via GDPR and Middle East via data residency, having the data not leave the country boundaries.
Sure.
So this is how we manage the fine balance between global and regional nuance.
But you also feed insights from implementation back to the product. How does that work?
For us to answer this question, maybe we have to zoom out a bit. If you see, sales looks at what the customer wants.
Sure.
Support looks at what is broken. Professional services or onboarding team looks at how does the solution actually fit into the customer ecosystem to deliver what is needed. So we are more like a use case people.
Yeah.
So when we approach customer, we solve use cases for them or we deliver business use cases to them. And some of these use cases, the product might fully support. Sometimes the product may not fully support.
Correct.
This is when we actually crystallize those use cases and put it in front of our product. And then product obviously have their own roadmap and a backlog. So they prioritize and pick up as and when needed. So we kind of probably are like eyes, ears for our product team to not just report customer challenges, but also to report a more holistic use cases or a futuristic use cases that we see in a customer ecosystem.
That's a very good way to put it. But now tell me, no discussion today is complete without the mention of AI, right? So how is your team at MoEngage using AI and solving for customer problems?
So I would, before even I get into how professional services team uses AI, I want to talk about MoEngage as a platform has Merlin AI,
Sure.
which helps marketers make intelligent decisions, custom build solutions like Jinja code generator, which has been a complex part of our product, now can be done using AI. The professional services team at MoEngage obviously uses AI like building gems with specific prompts to solve for some of the customer use cases and also to debug SDK errors, API errors, server errors. Now, these days when you're in a very integrated world, you get a lot of logs from various systems. And if you're a human being, you kind of try, okay, this is the log from this server and this is the log from this SDK initialization bit. So you kind of jump from one log to another log, and it's so tedious because all of these log files actually run into megabytes. The AI using analyze the logs is actually feed the anonymized logs to them, and they are able to say, hey, this is a bad request, and then so you got to see is the endpoint correct. So that way people are able to troubleshoot using AI the challenges that they would ideally have to actually manually do it. Apart from this, one interesting use case I have seen in the team, I mean, team may kind of feel surprised about it, is we ask everyone to fill timesheets, which is a very routine task, and a lot of people hate Fridays for it because on Friday evening they have to fill a timesheet. What I have seen is that these people have built a Google Calendar helper, which can actually extract all their customer meetings or project related tasks in the calendar to create tasks in the Rocket Lane, which they can ideally verify and insert as timesheet for that week. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum where people use it to solve manual or kind of routine tasks versus complex tasks where it used to take probably 4 to 6 hours to analyze the logs now takes probably 15 to 20 minutes to get to the point.
That's, I think, one of the best use cases of AI that I've recently listened to. Thank you, Sridhar, for all the insights today. We learned about customer success, professional services, sales, the golden triangle, and many more things, right? Those were very, very insightful. But that is not just it for today. We would like to learn more about you as a leader, right? What are your personal leadership beliefs that you work on and operate with your team?
Oh, that's a deep question. So, in my view, leadership is about providing clarity and confidence to the team. So, I think it's more about the team, as in enabling the team, rather than me standing in providing the solutions. Of course, whenever there are critical situations, definitely the leader always stands with the team. However, an enabled team does much better job than us getting into every nook and corner.
So we don't sit there and solutionize for them, but we enable them to succeed, basically.
That's right.
That is the gist that I'm taking away from the insights.
That's right. That makes sense.
That was insightful. And you've been a leader for more than 2 decades now, right? So how has your leadership style has evolved over a period of time?
So I probably look at it in 3 phases overall. When I operated in more like an engineer on the engineering side, the second phase is the consulting phase. The other one is the customer facing roles. In the engineering world, I have learned and I've lived by the principle of innovation, deep research, as in like depth first. And then the moment I moved to consulting world, the focus shifted to breadth. That's when I learned that if you're like depth first, you probably know about one area, but if you kind of look at the breadth, you kind of cover a lot of surface, makes you a well-rounded person. And then when I got to the customer facing world, that's when I learned about a lot of key skills around customer empathy, listening, putting yourself in their shoes. This is where most of the empathy comes from. If you were to face the similar situation, what would you do? That's the key question to ask. And as I say, it's a journey. I'm still on. Probably hope to learn more as time progresses.
That's good to know, Sridhar. When you hire for your team and somebody who would want to join your team, what are the top capabilities that you'd want to look in them, and what do you search for basically?
The technical capability happens to be the base. I kind of look for 2 more aspects when you're kind of hiring for a professional services team. The first one is the analytical mindset, which means asking the right question.
Sure.
Let's say we are in a customer situation, with troubleshooting. Asking the right question is actually half problem solved. So the first thing is about analytical abilities and asking the right questions. The second aspect is customer empathy. And if you're not placing yourself in the shoes of the customer, you're really not going to feel for them. And unless you feel for it, you're not going to put your heart and soul into solving those, right? So these are the 2 aspects that I would look apart from technical competency.
So Sridhar, what kind of people thrive in your organization? Could you tell us more about that?
So those who have customer empathy and be ready to look at and solve complex problems and be able to work across multiple functions collaboratively. These are the key aspects. And please remember that the role in PS isn't static. It's dynamic, it's evolving. So if you're able to work across cultures, across diverse industries, you get energy or thrive and derive energy out of it, you become more successful.
That was really fantastic, Sridhar. I have personally learned a lot of things today by speaking with you. My last question to you will be, if someone is considering joining your organization, what are the key takeaways that they should take from this one?
If you're looking at this podcast and you want to take away one thing, that would be, this is a